Hello, my name is Honey and welcome to my channel. This is my second episode and I'm just so excited, and also I need to say a huge thank you to anyone who left comments for me. There were just so many lovely messages that I just received. It was very welcoming and I just feel much more comfortable doing this and sitting in front of a camera knowing that people out there actually watch. So very big thank you to all of you. And if you're new here and if it's the first time you came across my channel, welcome. There's going to be so much knitting talks today, so I just thought to come and share some updates since my previous video. It's been a while. I think it's almost like 3 weeks. So yeah, I'll see you in the next part. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since the last time that I uploaded a podcast format video, and I thought maybe it's just like the time now to just share more updates. I'm trying to find like a schedule to put like videos at least, I don't know, every 2 weeks. But yeah, I think I'm just struggling a little bit with time. Also, I thought like I need at least a finished objects or two to share, but I don't think that really makes sense. Like you can just come and share updates or progress on your previous whips. So yeah, I'm still trying to find like a more organized timing to upload videos. So without like talking too much, I have two finished objects. One is a whip that I shared in my previous podcast video, and another one is a plan that I shared there. So it's actually finished, and two whips I've got, and I've got like a yarn that I'm going to share that I'm planning to make something new that I've never tried before. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing because this is one of the finished objects. So this is the Cumulus Tee by Petiteknit. So if you remember previously, what I shared was like, I think I've separated like body and sleeves. That's how far I went with this one, and it actually just got finished I think a week after that time that I shared the video. So it went by pretty quickly. Okay, so about this pattern, this is such a popular pattern, so I really don't think it's like people haven't seen it. But if you haven't, this is a sort of like a summer knitted garment. The yarn that I use for this is cotton merino by Knitting for Olive. This is what's left, so I don't have like an actual skein. This is in the color Ballerina. So it's like a very light pink. It's very nice. I'm not like a pink person. I really don't have that many pink clothing items, but I really like this pink. It was just so springy and like, I don't know, there was something about it that I just really liked trying it, and it turned out really nice. Like the final like color is actually like, if I would choose one pink, it would be this type of pink, like very light or like even a bit like dusty-ish. So I've actually purchased 4 skeins for this, but I just used 3. So this is like a used one, but I think I actually weighed this, and this was weighing more than 50 grams. So I don't know how that actually works. So yeah, I don't know. So almost like three full skeins of this. So this is like a fingering weight. There was like 250 meters in one ball. I used 3mm needles for the body, and there's like I-cords edging for like sleeves. The bottom, so mine is slightly more cropped than the actual pattern. The pattern is like longer. I think I've reduced around I think 6 centimeters or 5. It wasn't that much, but I don't know why I actually decided to do that. I wasn't planning to make it more cropped, but at a point I think I just got tired with like all the stockinette and I was like, all right, let's just call it there and just do the bind off. But I'm happy with the length. Before I blocked it, it was like slightly shorter, and then I was like doubting why I made that decision. So, but after I blocked it, it actually turned out better, and I'm happy with the length. So when I like wear like a high waist jeans, which is usually like all my jeans are like high waist or pants. It actually just sits below the waist, which is fine. And I can even use it, like wear it on like top like dresses because it's cropped, so that's fine. I haven't tried it on a dress yet, but that's what I'm thinking that I might do more often once the weather gets a bit warmer. But I really, really like the final look. I love the color. I love how it fits on the body. So I made this in size extra small. Yeah, so the only things that I modified was the crop body and also the sleeves. So the sleeves is like smaller, like not smaller. The sleeves are shorter. They just like end above the elbow. Mine is more like a 3/4 length. I could have gone a bit more longer on the sleeves, but I don't know again why I decided to stop. But I'm happy with how it turned out. So the sleeve length, the body length, it's all fine. But I ended up with one random skein, which I really don't know what to do with it. So I think this might be just like used in a striped project, like a summer striped top, something. But I love the color. It's really nice. The cotton feels different in terms of like, this was my first time knitting something using cotton yarn or anything like summery. So it was very new to me, but I did end up liking the process. Other than like fingering weight, it's a bit like hard, you know, like it's not as easy to knit like fingering weight by itself on like very small, like 3mm needles. It takes a while. And I did have some troubles with the tension for the upper part, which is like knit and flat before you actually join in the round after the neck shape. So I think if I'll make this once more again, I would try to make it a bit longer. So we'll do the same size, but just longer, or maybe just not. I don't know. I just have to try it on like different like things and see how it looks. But yeah, I really love it. It was so easy to knit. The pattern was just like pretty well written, like no issues. And also my first time doing I-cords, and I think I've done a good job because I kept seeing people saying something about I-cords being like if you do it too tight, it's going to be like a bit, you know, like how it cinches in. Or if you do it loosely, I don't know, there was like something that I constantly had in mind while I was doing the I-cords, that I would make sure that my tension is right, but it ended up okay. And I did enjoy I-cord knitting as well. I don't know if that's weird or if that's like, I don't know, I thought it's not fun, but I did have a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, first time doing I-cord. It's not actually my first time. I did my first I-cord on my coast bag, which I showed again in my previous video. But that's just like a very like short I-cord. And it was different. It wasn't like an I-cord bind off. That was like a separate I-cord that you use as the straps for the bag. But this was my first time doing I-cord binder, which was really cool. Like I do like how it looks. I like the finishing. Okay, enough about this one. Let's go to the next finished object, which is my Moby Neck. Like heavily modified, as you can see. This is like long. This is like like a slipover pretty much. So it's no longer just a neck. So let's bring it here. It looks pretty. I really love this. I've got so much things to say about this one. So this is, again, a pattern by Petiteknit. This is, I'm going to show it up here, but this is just the neck that just ends literally around here. And the back is also textured. I did modify the back, so the back is just like basic stockinette stitches. I just kept the front as is, so I only started the textured when I reached to the shoulders. So that's where all the texture begins, and I made it way longer than it's expected. So this is a knit for my mom. I did mention this before. So she requested this, and she requested something like this, and I looked up so many patterns like slipovers, but none of them really were like something that would give me exactly the construction that I was looking for. There were a few, but I didn't like the texture. They were like mostly very simple and basic. So I love the texture of the Moby, like anything Moby version. She's got like sweaters and she's got a sweater, slip over, and a neck, I think, if I'm not wrong. And I do love the texture. So the texture is, I think this section is like a seed stitch. Is that what we call it? Or moss stitch. And then it's got like these beautiful cables, and then these like mock cables, which are like these diamonds, and then it repeats itself, and that's the same throughout the whole front and also the back. And the neck is just like a very high turtleneck. I did reduce the length of the ribbing for the neck. It was just going to be like very high up here, which I didn't really want it. So I think I reduced it by 5 centimeters. I can't remember how long the pattern calls for, but I do remember that I reduced it by 5. So I just ended up where I felt like it's enough, and then bound off with Italian bound off. I did have some trouble getting it on. It was a little bit too tight. It wasn't too bad. It just got stuck here. So I had to just like, you know, force it a little bit to just get down. But it did get better when I blocked it, but it still isn't as like easy as you would expect something. But yeah, I don't know. I think I might have like bound off a bit too tight, because I do even remember that I picked up stitches. So there's 2 sizes for this neck, size 1 and 2, and I only knitted this in size 1. And I remember that I picked up stitches. The number of stitches that I picked up for the neck was the amount that was supposed to be for the second side. So I even picked up more stitches that I was supposed to, but I still ended up having like a bit of a tie neck. But it's fine. I just gave my mom like a heads up that, hey, just make sure that you use a bit of force to get it on. But once it's on, it's fine. It's just like that 1 second that it reaches here, and then you need to be a bit like aggressive. And then I did add a little bit of like band at the, you know, like to connect the front and the back. And I came up with like an idea to use a texture from the pattern itself. So I just used like the cable and also the edging to just create that band. Nothing like too crazy or like creative, but I just didn't want to have like a simple and basic like stockinette band to connect. I was thinking doing like double knitted, and then I was just like, I didn't like that idea. And then once I just decided to do the band, I just was looking at the texture, the front, and was like, okay, if I want to choose something from this texture, which one would it be? Would it be the mock cables or the actual cables? And I chose the cable, the actual cable. And it turned out really nice. So I think that's like around 10 centimeters, the length. So I picked up stitches from the front for the amount that was required to produce that pattern, that texture. And then I ended up after 10 centimeters, and then I didn't sew it. I was trying to do like, come up with a way to connect it to the back. I couldn't find a nice way to do it. I did read somewhere that I could use Petiteknit stitch. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't know how to do that. So I just decided to just sew it, and it turned out okay. Like, it's really not visible. It's pretty clean. Is it? Is it clean? I hope it is clean. So I did sew it after I blocked it, so it actually got stretched out, and I did bind this band off using the, what was it called? Jenny's Amazingly Stretchy Bind Off. I think that's what it was called. So it was actually pretty stretchy, because I like bound off using like the standard bind off, but it was like I couldn't really like stretch it out to fit the front size. And I tried another version of the bind off, like, which was pretty stretchy, and it turned out nice. So This is really beautiful. I love the color. My mom has like green eyes, like dark green eyes, and this really matches her eye color. And I'm so excited that she's going to be wearing this. So another textured pattern that I made after my Salty Day sweater, and it was really easy to follow as well. I really love the drape. I think this is my favorite yarn combination, and I just realized that I forgot to say what yarn that I used. I used a Knitting for Olive merino fingering weight held with Rowan Kidsilk Haze mohair in the color. So the Knitting for Olive was in color Dusty Sea Green, and the Rowan mohair was in color, I think there's like a shade 611. I'll pop them up here. But there's like a funny thing. Let me show you. Okay, so I only had 5 skeins of the Knitting for Olive merino. So this is the actual like color. So that's Dusty Sea Green, this lovely, it's like dark olive-ish green. And then the Rowan mohair is this color. So I held these together to produce that lovely fabric. I purchased 5 skeins of this because that's like the store that I bought this from. They only had 5 skeins, and I was freaking out that I'm going to run out of yarn. And since it was a gift, I didn't really want to abandon it if I faced like a emergency yarn issue. So I was just like playing the safe game, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy all 5 skeins. And since I was heavily modifying the pattern, I had no idea how much yarn I need. And I was like, okay, this is a textured pattern. It's going to take much more yarn than just like stockinette. That's even why I decided to change the back to just basic and simple stockinette to save on yarn. And once I reached to like up here, so it's like a top bottom up pattern, because it's a neck, so it literally starts from here and then from to end it here. So mine was like literally from down there and just all over and here. So it was like a very huge like piece, and with the neck, which you bind off in the middle. So I reached like to like the shoulders and a little bit further to the front, and I was like thinking that, I don't know honestly what my brain was like calculating, that it just thought that I'm gonna run out of yarn. And yeah, it's very annoying what I did. So I actually went and looked online to see if there's like any Australian stores that I can actually purchase more Knitting for Olive. And there was like one in, I can't remember, I think it was maybe, I don't know, I really don't know. But I did buy more of the same color. I got 3 more skeins. And now that's the situation. So I literally have a sweater, not a sweater quantity, but that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 5 skeins. I only used 2.5 skeins of the fingering. So I had 5 initially. I purchased 3 extra, and I only used 2.5. And I'm really bad in stressing out about running out of yarn. So I rather not go through that phase and make sure that I've got enough yarn. But this was very unexpected. I don't usually, like, this is the first time that this happened to me. Anyways, I'm glad I actually didn't purchase more mohair, because I knew the shop that I bought the mohair, they had enough of that. So I was like, worst case, if I run out, I'm just going to go to the store and buy more. And I ended up like having a ball left, so I only used like 3 skeins. I purchased 4, I only used 3. So now I've got like this many green Knitting for Olive merino. I'm really not complaining, because I do love green, and I do know I will be using that. I do actually have already found a pattern that I'm going to use for that. I'm going to show it at the end. But yeah, I mean, the whole pattern could have just been made simply by 3 skeins of like each. So in case anyone wants to do the same modification and change it, I'm pretty sure like it'll be enough. Like 3 or 4 skeins should be fine and enough depending on the size. So there's like just 2 sizes, size 1 and 2, and I knitted this in size 1. The texture, the combination of this yarn is my favorite so far. Like I have not knitted anything this soft before. Like it'll show better in the stockinette. And the gauge as well. My stitches were like perfect in terms of tension. Even though I was knitting in flat, I did have no issues with my purls. Like the needle size, the combination of the yarn and the feeling of the yarn was so amazing. And if there is like a mohair like softer than the Rowan one, I really want to try it, because in my head this is like the highest, softest yarn that you can really feel. It's really soft and it has like a very nice halo and fuzziness. I just love it. I'm so glad I chose this yarn combination, especially because it's a gift. It's a special gift. I really wanted it to be very soft and like nice looking. So those were my 2 finished objects. All right, so now let's go to what I'm currently working on. In my previous video, I did show that I have bought yarns for a pattern that I was thinking of making for so long, and it's one of my favorites, which is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers. And it's such a lovely, lovely top that I think it's mostly, so what she uses in the pattern is just like an Aran weight, 100% wool. So I would think it's not like a summer top. It's more of a top that you will use or wear on top of like a shirt or a dress. So I wasn't looking for summery yarn for that. So the yarn that I've used for this one is this Isager Jensen. I've held these 2 together. So Isager Jensen and Alpaca 1. So this is like a lace weight. The Jensen one is like a DK weight. So I thought that would just like give me an Aran weight. I did actually make a swatch for it. I have to be honest, I'm still not at the point of like appreciating enough to make a gauge swatch before I do anything. So I know it's pretty like necessary in so many ways, just not to just like hit the gauge, and just gives you like an idea of like how your fabric's going to look like. And for this one in the pattern, it actually says that it's for this particular project is like necessary and you have to do it. I don't know why, but that just made me a bit scared that I'll probably want to do a gauge swatch for this one. And I wasn't too sure honestly about the Jensen yarn. It's very like rustic. It's super rustic. I do like woolly yarns. Like I prefer them. Like in the one experience that I had with cotton yarn, I have to say that I do like the feeling of woolly yarn much more when I'm like in the process itself. So this is like so woolly. It's just like, it's very rustic. And I just wanted to see how it'll look in the pattern. So that's my gauge swatch. So it's just like this beautiful eyelet and lacy small piece. I didn't hit the stitch number. So my gauge was for 21.5 stitches that she calls for in the pattern to make the swatch. I ended up with 11 centimeters instead of 10. So this top is meant to have 9 to 11 centimeters positive ease, and it comes in size 1 to 9. So there's like 9 different sizes. I am knitting mine in the second size. This is like a very I don't even think I can fit this. So this is obviously knit from bottom up. First time doing bottom up construction. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll probably comment on this later, but so far that's how much I've got. So that's around like 13 centimeters from the body. So this is like, that's like so little. And I'm actually supposed to, let me show it here. I'm actually supposed to stop here and separate the front and the back and start the armhole, which is a bit strange. Like, that's very small. It does actually say that, excuse me. It does actually say that if you plan to add a bit more length to the top, you can keep on like adding rows here, which is probably what I'll be doing. I don't know, like, I'm not sure how much longer I want it to be. I'll probably do some measurements and decide, but I don't want it to be like super cropped because I do want it to wear it on like pants and jeans. It is a bit like a crop top. Like from the photos you can actually see it's super cropped, but I think I'll probably be adding a bit more. There is also like a edging that will get added to this later. So as you can see, this is like a provisional cast on. So my bottom stitches, they're still live sitting on this green yarn strand. So these are like live stitches, which again was my first time doing provisional cast on, and that itself caused me to just delay casting this project on for so long because I was so freaked out about like provisional cast on. I didn't know how I could actually manage to do it. It wasn't too hard. But the fact that this is like a bottom up top, that means like I had to cast on that many stitches. I can't even fit it in the camera. It's like more than 200, I think. And I did make some mistakes during it, so I had to redo it a few times. But it was fine. Oh, okay. I want to share this. So I did mention, maybe in my previous video, I can't remember, that I do have some troubles with my tension when it comes to knitting flat with my purl stitches, which is a pretty common issue if you're like a continental knitter. And okay, so I did try out a few things. There was a comment in my first episode. No, I think I shared this in the vlog, the project vlog that I made out of like the silver leaf cardigan, and that I mentioned this issue, and there was like this lovely person that left this comment about, I've heard that before as well, but there was this comment that said to avoid that issue with having your purl stitches a bit like looser, you can change needle sizes. So you go down like half a size or like a quarter a size to just like match your gauge for your knit and purls. And I did try that, but it didn't give me, again, I think I'm just like super loose when it comes to purls because I still got a bit of like bumps. I really don't know if I can show this. So this bottom section here, maybe I can find a place that it's just all stuck in it, more visible. So I'm pretty sure you can see like a line here in the middle, maybe not. I don't know what I'm trying to show. But you all know how a loose purl stitch will look like. So I tried that and I did see that it's not, again, hitting the exact gauge as I'm like hoping to get. And then I looked up on YouTube and I came across, I'll put it in the description, the link to the video. I came across a concept or a technique called Norwegian purling, which was pretty interesting. So the way that you do purl stitches is that you bring the yarn in front and then you just pull it through instead of like holding it back, which is your like knit stitches. But this one, it actually still holds the yarn in the back and you purl. It's like a very cool hand dance and I really enjoy doing it. So doing this many purls, it's like such a like pain in the hand. So I did have some like hand pain when it came to like purling, and that was like making me not loving the project, and that actually forced me to look up new ways of purling instead of just like doing it the usual way. And I came across this one and it was perfect. I have to admit that it gave me the perfect gauge. I think I'm going to show a B-roll for this because you can actually see the difference. There's like a huge difference. So now I've got the perfect match of knit stitches and purl stitches knitting flat, and I think that will solve a lot of my issues because I just hated that when it came to knitting flat. And if you haven't tried this, give this a go. You might not like it because there's so much movements in the hands, your right hand, so your left hand literally just stays still and your right hand just does all the work. But I do like the move, and it just became very like, it seemed like I knew this because I wasn't struggling so much with getting it right. I just like watched a video or two and then I practiced it and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool and I love it. Now when it gets to the purl rows, I'm just happy. Which is funny because I just hated doing purls before, and as I said, this is just like so many purl stitches that I had to do. So I'm super glad that I found this out because this is just like all flat knitted because it's a cardigan type. It's like the front is open, so I did have to do a lot of like purling. The yarn combination turned out super nice. I love the color, I love how it feels. It is very like itchy because it's just like the yarn, the Jensen one is just so rustic. But as I said before, I don't have any issues with like itchiness of the yarn. I do actually like the feel of like woolly yarns, and when it comes to just like knitted garments, that's what I prefer. But yeah, it just like feels very different than like this one that I was knitting. This was just like the softest thing that you could touch. So yeah, this is going pretty well. So as I said, I've already reached the point that I'm ready to separate the sections and then start the armholes and then the front panels and the back panels, and then I think you join them together. But it's such a lovely piece. I can't wait to have this piece completed and just wear it. I think I'm just going to be using this so much, and I do already have like ideas of like how I can actually style it. But this is going to be like a very warm top. I don't really think I can make use of it during like, I don't know, summer or maybe sometime in spring. So I'll probably be wearing this more towards like the end of the summer or beginning of like fall. But that's how far I've got with this one. I do have one more project that I think I only casted on last night. I'm actually going to show it and see if you can guess what it is before showing the pattern. Let's see if I can get it focused. So it's not a sock. If you've guessed that it's a sock. This is the Bindle Bag. Is it the Bindle Bag? Yeah, the Bindle Bag by Ozetta. And this has been sitting in my accessory like bundle on Ravelry for so long. I just loved it the moment I saw it. I do love like, I'm thinking of like using this for like a makeup bag, or like, you know, like when you've got like going somewhere that you want to take over all your like makeups or skincare or whatever, you just chuck it in something and take it. This is so cute. It has like, you can actually tie it with the actual bag. This is very cute. I really like it. And then I do have like, I don't know, I kind of like start to freak out when my yarn stash keeps growing. So I ended up with some skeins of like my previous projects. One was the Along Avec Anna mohair and the fingering weight merino superwash that I had used for my beautiful silver leaf cardigan, which I have been wearing it actually so much since I made it. So I ended up with two skeins, like one of each, and a bit of like leftover. So not much really. That's just like very small amount. And I also had the single skein of the Rowan mohair as well. And this pattern actually calls for a fingering weight and a mohair, so a lace weight. But what I'm doing here, I'm actually using like holding two mohair and one, so these three. Let me show the actual ball. So these three, this is the yarn combination that I'm using. So two lace and one fingering. This superwash merino is very like light, so I would think it's more sitting on the lighter fingering weight. So I thought this will give me like a nice fabric, and it's a bag. I really don't mind it to be just like off gauge. So that's how it's looking. It's so pretty. Look at that green. It's so nice. and it's super soft. So this is superwash merino, soft. This is a mohair, soft. So I'm creating the softest thing, and I just casted this on last night because I felt like I just need something a bit soft after knitting this. This is just so rustic. It just feels different, and I just felt, okay, maybe it's not a bad idea to have like something easier and also like softer to just give my hands a break once in a while. So I just cast it on this, and it took me some time to decide on what stash yarn that I want to use for this, and I don't know, it just came out of the like, I want to use this, and I think it's looking gorgeous. So this is more like it's like a moss stitch all over, and I haven't really done much, so I think I've got to continue doing this for like some time. And then I haven't really looked into the pattern to just understand the construction, but I think it's not too complicated. And first time knitting something from Ozetta. I've heard a lot about her. I love her like clothing items as well. I've got a few on my like to-do list. Okay, so there is one acquisition that I've bought this week, which is this sock yarn. This is Regia silk 4-ply, and it's 55% wool, 25% polyamide, and 20% silk. It's very soft, and the color is, I don't know, I'll put it up somewhere, but it's like this very light pink. I just said I don't like pink, but here I go. It's such a lovely pink. I think it'll look nice on like socks. So I've never knitted a sock before, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. So I'm just gonna give it a go, and I've seen so many beautiful patterns that people share, and I just can't wait to make one. I do wear socks a lot, like honestly, like most of the times during winter I even sleep with socks. So that's how much I use socks. But the fact that how much I'm going to use my knitted socks, that I don't know, because I don't know, I just feel a bit freaked out that if something's going to happen to them, you know, like I don't know. I think I'm just going to try it and see how I feel about using them, because if I'm not going to use them that much, I'm probably not going to make that many socks, but I'll see how I go. I don't have like any needles for sock knitting. I do think that I prefer like magic loops for sock, and I do need like, I do have like a 2.5 Chaogu long cable, but this pattern that I'm going to show which one it is in a second is calling for 2.25. And the sock that I'm planning to make is the Hibernal Socks by Summer Lee. She has so many lovely designs. I think I've got like most of her patterns already in my wish list. But this one is such a lovely cabled, like ribbed. It's just so nice. I don't know. She's using like a tweed yarn for this, which gives it a bit of like more definition, which I really like. So I don't know how it's going to look like in this like more simple yarn, but we'll see. So this is a fingering weight sock, and it uses 2.25 millimeter needles. It comes in 5 sizes. I do not have any idea of like which one I'm going to knit. I do have to do some measurements on my feet. I had so many patterns saved to knit socks, and I had so much trouble deciding, but I just chose this one, and I felt like, you know what, I'm not going to make it too complicated. I'll give this a go and see if I like it. I don't know if I'm going to like it, honestly. I've never thought of like knitting socks when I started knitting, but I've seen people knitting socks, and it just feels so cute, like those tiny needles, and I don't know, it just gave me so much inspiration watching other people and sharing the patterns. It just, yeah. So I'm gonna make a sock. Hopefully it'll be at least to a point that I can share it in my next video. I don't know, I think I'm gonna be busy with the Vilma top for a good amount of time, because I really want to see how that would turn out like. I also found, I did mention that I found a pattern that I want to make out of my huge Knitting for Olive green. I've got 5.5. I might need to get like an extra 1 or 2 depending on, I haven't checked the actual like yardage for the pattern that I chose, but that's fine. At least I can actually make use of like all that remaining ones. And I do plan to purchase some mohair as well. I haven't tried knitting for olive mohair, so I think I'll try that one out for this one. I do have like a monthly budget that I allow myself to purchase yarn. I do sometimes go over but I try to stick to it. So next month, I think I'll go and buy like the mohair and the additional like merino. So I am planning to make the Lane Loop sweater by Other Loops. I don't know her actual name, but the page, like her Instagram page, is called Other Loops. I've been following her for a while now, but I've never actually went in and checked out her designs until I think a few nights ago. I just saw like the cable cardigan that she had. It was called Brady Loop cardigan, and oh my god, that was so pretty. That is definitely going to be my next cardigan. It was just so nice, and that just tempted me to go in and look her other patterns. So she has like very nice cabled, like huge cabled designs that is just so beautiful. And I don't have like a very like basic stockinette stitch cardigan like sweater. I only have 2 sweaters. So if you don't know, I'm a very new knitter, so I've only been knitting for like 6 or 7 months. So I don't have that many finished pieces that I can actually wear. And in terms of like sweaters, I only have 2. So I've got the Salty Day sweater and the sweater number 28, which both are like very textured. So they're not like a simple piece that I can just like mindlessly choose to wear, and you know, like a cozy feeling that you don't have to worry about pairing it or styling it with anything. So I was like always thinking of like, I do need like a stockinette sweater that I can just like wear it whenever I feel like I need a piece on. And there's like so many of them out there. I was thinking of making either the Monday sweater by Petiteknit or the Cinema sweater by Kutavakika, my favorite designer. Yeah, and then I came across this one and I just loved it. I just fell in love with it. It might have been because of the color that she has. It's green, like a very minty green, and I love green. And the moment I saw it, I was like, I want to make this. And my yarn is also green. It's a very different type of green, but I was just like imagining my yarn in that pattern, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this one. And once I'm done with like what I've got going on, that will probably be my next cast on. And I know that we are in summer, not in summer, we're in spring here. We're going to enter summer like pretty soon, but I just don't think I'll be knitting so much summer garments, at least not this year. I'm new to knitting. I'm just so excited about making chunky stuff. Not chunky, but I mean like sweaters, cardigans, more like woolly things. So this is the first one that I made, like cotton. I think I do want to make maybe one more top, like sleeveless. I am thinking of making like a striped thing that I can use this for it, and I'll actually just get the main color and use this as a contrast color. I'm thinking of something like in navy that goes nice with pink. But yeah, so I'm just more excited of like making sweaters and cardigans. That's my vibe now. So that's why if you see me still knitting like super hot pieces in like spring and maybe later in summer. Yeah, so I actually didn't mention anything about the pattern. The pattern comes in size extra small to double extra large. The bust circumference is 80 to 85 to 110 and 120. And the yarn that she uses again is a fingering plus waist, so I'm gonna use the same, not the exact yarn that she asked for. And she uses 4mm needles and 3.5, I'm guessing, for the ribbing and the hem. I think that's gonna be like a mindless knitting project for me that I can just switch to after my Vilma top. The Vilma top isn't like complicated at all. Actually, the pattern is just like super memorizable. So yeah, it's still pretty mindless, other than the construction is pretty new that I need to refer to the pattern like every now and then. Ooh, I've been talking for like an hour. I hope the editing bit will cut it a bit shorter. Okay, I think that was all I had for this video, and I will try to be more organized in terms of like timing and putting out videos. And once again, thank you so much for whoever left a comment for me and watched my previous videos. If you've liked and enjoyed the video, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you very soon in my next video. Bye.